Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I see we have one person joining us. Thank you so much. And I think we might just give it another minute or two to let some others who might be joining just file in here. Sometimes I know depending on the time of day it is for you, it sometimes takes a minute to get organized. So thank you so much for joining us. And we're just going to give it maybe another minute or two before we get started. Quite a few registrants, but again, sometimes people register and wait for the recording, and that's okay too. Um, so I think maybe we can go ahead. This session is being recorded, and again, if other colleagues maybe couldn't join us tonight, that's okay. We will be sending out this recording, like I mentioned, to all the registrants. So I'm happy to have you join us. I'm just going to share my screen here so we can get started. So tonight we're having, or this morning in many of your cases, we're going to be doing an info session on our health programs here at Red Deer Polytechnic. Um, just first, I want to do a few introductions. So joining me today is Werner Bielefeld. He is the Dean of International Education here at Red Deer Polytechnic. We're also happy to have the Dean of the School of Health and Wellness joining us here, Heather Dirks. She is responsible for all of our health programs here at Red Deer Polytechnic. And then myself, I'm Chantal Marchand, and I am the International Recruitment Manager here at Red Deer Polytechnic. So just before we get started, I just want to go over a few meeting guidelines. As you might know, I'm sure online etiquette is pretty normal for everyone at this point. But if you could please just keep yourself muted throughout the presentation. Again, because we have a small group, if you do have a question as we're going, feel free to unmute yourself and let us know. Sometimes when there's larger groups, it can be distracting, but I think with a smaller group, if you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to unmute and ask away. Or if you want to hold your questions until the end, that is just fine as well. There's also a question and answer box here on the webinar. So if you prefer to type in a question, I will keep an eye on that as well as we go. So just going over the topics that we're going to be covering today. So we have the first section is going to be getting to know RDP. I'm not sure if you've attended our sessions last week. We did some of these sessions on IT programs. So a lot of the getting to know RDP is going to be similar, but we're going to tell you a little bit about who we are as an institution, where we're located here in Canada, why international students choose to study here at our institution, and then some of the new IRCC and immigration pathways that are kind of on the go right now. Next, we're going to dive really deep into our health programs and why students might want to consider programs in the health sector. We'll start that section by talking about the different programs that RDP offers in that school. Then we'll talk really quickly about some skills and traits that are really important for students who might be looking to study in a healthcare profession. Then we'll go through health-specific admission requirements. So our health programs are a little bit unique in their admission requirements, particularly with English language proficiency. So we will go over that as well. And then we are going to do a spotlight on a couple of our health programs, some really popular programs, some new programs that we're really excited about. So today we're going to cover a deep dive into the practical nurse program, a brand new program for us that is launching in fall of 2025, and that is the Diagnostic Medical Sonography program. And last will be the Healthcare Aid Certificate. Then I will take over again and we'll talk a little bit more about how you can get started and the application process. And then again, at the end, we'll leave plenty of time for questions. I know that things are a little bit up in the air right now, so we wanted to also make sure there's lots of time for you. If you have questions about some of the changes or some of our programs or what RDP offers, we wanted to just give an open platform for you to ask those questions as well. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to Werner now to tell you a little bit more about RDP.
Thanks, Chantal. Great to see you. So my name is Werner Bielefeld. I'm the Dean of International Education. So, if you have heard this before, I apologize, but I'll go through this regardless to make sure we get the message through about Radio Polytechnic. So, as you can see there, we have been a public institution for 60 years this year. So, we are well versed in serving our international students. We have a very diverse student body here. We definitely provide an array of programs from certificates to undergraduate degrees, where we work to develop skills for our students so that they are job ready, where we also provide hands-on and practical learning experiences, and we are very much focused on that student support component. So next slide, please. A little bit about Red Deer Polytechnic and Red Deer. The city of Red Deer is about 100,000 people. We have about 1,000 international students, so we have very, very great class sizes. So students get a better interaction with our instructors. We have a lot of programs that align with postgraduate work permit eligibility. As I said, we have applied learning opportunities for our students. Our cost of our programs are much lower than most institutions in Canada. And we are officially, Red Deer is the third most affordable city in Canada. So something that we're very proud of, and it just shows you that it is an affordable and easy to live city. With all of that, we also provide customized international student support. So our student satisfaction rate is actually at 96%, which is quite high as well. So next slide, please. We also have on-campus housing. On the right there, you can see a picture of one of our housing buildings, but we have a number of options that you can find online, and we're happy to share that with you. Our single bedrooms start at around $570 a month, which is very, very low in Canada. We also have shared room options, and that is around $450 a month. So you can even get a lower option. But again, we have many, many different options for our housing on campus, or if you choose to live off campus, again, very affordable city to live in. Next slide, please. Why Alberta? Again, if you're not familiar with Alberta, but I'm sure you are by now, Alberta itself offers the highest average wages and lowest taxes in Canada. Alberta offers many immigration pathways. The province offers affordable cost of living, and compared to other provinces in Canada, we have a high visa approval rate. Again, Alberta is a very attractive city, a province in Canada. We have immigration coming to Alberta from other provinces. Because of the standard of living in Alberta itself, we have the fastest growing economy and the highest GDP per capita in the country as well. So lots of job opportunities for our students in the province. Next slide, please. Uh, just a little bit of a visual of where Alberta is. So you can see there, that's the province of Alberta. And then in Red Deer, the city is there located at number 2. Number 1 is the city of Edmonton, and number 3 is the city of Calgary. These are two very large cities, and so we're about an hour and a half from each of those cities. So students have easy access on the highway to two of the largest cities in Canada. And then about 2 to 3 hours away from the world famous Banff and Jasper, which are amazing mountain towns. And so you're quite close to the Rocky Mountains as well. So great access to job opportunities in Edmonton and Calgary and Red Deer as well. And then also easy access to the Rocky Mountains. So beautiful, beautiful province and beautiful city to live in. So studying at Radio Polytechnic, why international students choose us. Again, we have small class sizes and great dedicated student support. We have dedicated team that helps our international students with settlement support services as well as academic support, which is very unique in Canada. But we provide all of that free to our students. We have tons and tons of support services and programs for our international students. We focus on hands-on learning, so our students are work ready when they graduate. We have a very, very high graduate employability rate. We have very competitive tuition and fee costs, very low cost of living, and modern state-of-the-art facilities. So really all that you can wish for, we have that here. Next slide. So postgraduate work permit eligibility. So for your convenience, we have created a one-pager on our website where you can find all of our programs listed that align with RCC's PGWP eligibility, and we keep that up to date on a daily basis. So if you click on that link or scan that code, you can see all of our programs that align with RCC's PGWP eligibility requirements. Besides PGWP, of course, in Alberta, we also have the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, where students also qualify for immigration through the Alberta Opportunity Stream or the Express Entry Stream. So there's options on that side as well. Next slide. I think that's it. So I'm going to hand it over now to Heather, our Dean of Health and Wellness, and she can cover some of our programs.
Hi there, you bet I can. So we have a lot of different programs in the School of Health and Wellness, and the vast majority of them are PGWP eligible. So we have a few of them here: healthcare aide, medical lab assistant, kinesiology and sports study diploma, occupational and physical therapy assistant, pharmacy technician, practical nurse, and sonography. And those are two that I'll highlight. You can see there that they are either 1 year or 2 years programs, and the cost is there for you. And those costs are divided up by the year. So students would pay per term or do per term. So that's the total cost. So that would be divided up per term depending on the length of the program. Some of the programs have different intakes. We have fall for practical nurse, and moving forward in the future, we may have a winter intake for practical nurse as well. Healthcare aide has a fall, a winter, and a spring intake, so multiple options to start. Next slide, please. So if you were thinking of becoming a healthcare professional, there are certain, or if your students were, or your people that you work with, there are certain skills and traits that are really important when we think about becoming a healthcare provider. We want people who have good communication skills. We want people who are empathetic and have integrity and honest. These are really professional programs resulting in professional experiences. So it's important that our people have good decision-making skills and good conflict resolution skills. So some of these skills and traits are really important when coming into these programs, and they will help set people up for success. So one of the things I think that makes our programs really special are the opportunities for applied learning. So all of the programs have some sort of applied learning component where the students go out into the community and do kind of a work experience type practicum or field guide placement, where they get to really practice the doing the job that they are going to graduate with. It makes sure that the learners that we have graduate with the knowledge and the skills that are necessary to meet what is required of them in the industry. I'm going to pass it to Chantel to just talk about the English language proficiency requirements.
Yeah, so our health programs are a little bit different in their English language proficiency requirements. So I just wanted to highlight that here really quickly. Being that there are high stakes when it comes to health programs, we want to make sure that nothing gets lost in translation. Good communication skills and good English skills are at the core of what you need to be really good at being a healthcare professional and ensuring the safety of your clients. So with that being said, our overall score for English language proficiency, we have a 7.0 overall for IELTS, with a minimum at 6.5 on each band. IELTS is probably the most commonly used pathways for English language proficiency, but for this program, we will also accept TOEFL or Duolingo. Those scores are also listed here. So any student whose first language is not English will need to do an English language proficiency test and achieve those minimum scores. And as Heather mentioned, the applied learning components are really good, especially I think about many of our students when they come into, for example, the nursing program, don't exactly know what type of nursing they want to do. And through those clinicals and those co-ops and those practicums, they get placed in different areas so they can experience the different types of learning as well to kind of better inform them about what program, or not what program, but what field they want to practice in. So we have students who are placed in peds, and we have students who are placed in emergency care, and we have students who are placed in rural placement. So it's a really good experience for students to take what they've learned in their books and their theories, but also apply them in different areas. So it's really, really good learning opportunities for those students.
Mhm. So I'm going to highlight a few of our programs. The Practical Nurse Diploma, which is a 2-year diploma. It also, we also do have the option for it to be taken over 3 years, and that is still eligible because it is still considered full-time. We also, this is a new one, diagnostic medical sonography. We're just starting that, really desirable profession, and that's doing ultrasound. So that is new to us. And then the healthcare aid certificate as well, which is the one that I mentioned. We have 3 different intakes for that. So the practical nurse diploma is a really, truthfully, I think one of our best programs. We have a really great curriculum. We designate spots for international students, and we have a lot of international learners in this program and a lot of support set up for them both within the program, but also with partnering with Werner and Chantel's team to make sure that we support these learners. This really fits with what Chantel was saying about getting different experiences in practicing to be a nurse, in figuring out what kind of nursing you do want to do. These learners over the 2 years become licensed practical nurses. So they can practice in hospitals, in communities, in long-term care facilities, in addictions, anywhere really that a licensed practical nurse practices. The learners graduate with being able to do that. This, like I said, we do reserve spots for international learners in this program, and it is PGWP eligible. It is a credential. So you graduate not only with the diploma, but you take a licensing exam to become eligible to practice. And the program cost for that one is 38,000, around 38,000 Canadian. So licensed practical nurses are in very high demand. Um, it is one of our most sought after health professions. Uh, there's new positions all the time. And all the learners that graduate are finding work right away. I honestly, I don't know that I've heard of anyone that doesn't want to work, that can't work in this. So you can see there that the average wage is there. Is that, sorry, I'm just reading this chart here. Is that the one? Which one is
I
it
think
here?
that's the hourly rate as well. So
That's okay. So
yeah,
that's the hourly rate there. High
yeah.
um, lots of opportunities and lots of opportunities to change and be really excited about your work. The other thing I do want to highlight is that um, there just are a lot of supports in this program for all of the learners. And like I said, the option to do it in 2 years or 3 years. Go to the next one here. So this is something we're really excited about. This is sometimes called an ultrasound tech. The technical name is a diagnostic medical sonography. Um, so this is where someone is able to scan the human body, not only engaging in doing that in a compassionate, caring way, but making sure that they provide care and report that in the appropriate ways. This is a credentialed program as well, where they would take this diploma over 2 years, and then they can work in hospitals, clinics, and private practices. And there are lots of opportunities for all of these. There are co-ops involved here as well. We do some simulation is the plan, so where learners will practice on on site on campus, but then we'll go out and do practice on real people with the support of sonographers that are out there. This also is PGWP eligible, and we do plan to have some spots for international learners. This is our first intake for this will be fall 25. So like I said, this is really high demand. there are not very many sonography programs in Canada, so this is really exciting for us to have this program. And the people who graduate with this are very, very sought after and not hard to get a job. Average wage is around $46 per hour starting. And from what I hear from the people that do it, it goes up quite quickly, and lots of opportunities for work and lots of new positions and lots of opportunities to work in different types of environments, whether you want to be in a clinic, maybe scanning new babies, or going into a hospital and doing more emergent type things. Lots of opportunities for sonography. And then the last one that I'm going to highlight here is our healthcare aid certificate. So this, again, lots of opportunities to work in different environments here in Canada with this credential. So we have um, people that are working in hospitals, in home care, in long-term care facilities. It's really a good opportunity to build relationships with people, but also be in that medical healthcare field. This is delivered through online lectures and assignments, and then in lab. All of these healthcare programs that I've talked about often have a lab component as well, and then a clinical or that work integrated learning type placement. The healthcare aid program, we have the 3 intakes, fall, winter, and spring. It's a year long. It is PGWP eligible. And this one, the program cost is about 25,000.
And I'm just going to jump in here, Heather, just to
Mhm.
talk about this one a little bit because it's something we see often. So, if your English was done outside of Canada, you do have to do an English placement test called AccuPlacer. It's something that we require of all applicants to the program who have studied internationally. It's done online at a minimal charge. I think it's $20 or $25. But it is something that we do require before you can gain admission to the program. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. It's something that often gets missed or is not understood in the admission requirements. So if a student is looking to study this program, they will have to do that AccuPlacer. But once we get the application, it's an automatic process. We request it as a condition to the admission, and then you would be asked to do that online test. So it's pretty easy. You can do it. Students can do it from their home countries, but it is required prior to admission.
And Parminder, I see you have a question about the combination of math and biology in for sonography, and that's a good question because it is unique. Um, the prerequisites in order for sonography, but it is a career with a unique combination of requiring kind of those sciences and the math. And because it is an accredited program, we are not able to change the admission requirements for that. So those would be required.
Yeah, so
And
that would mean I think particularly from students from India, they would have to be the super medical stream students who would have to apply to that program.
okay. And then back to healthcare aid, like I said, very high demand. We have people all the time asking us if we can graduate more healthcare aid. So the lots of positions for that. People that graduate get employed and really do have the option of working where they would want to work because there are lots of options for that.
Yeah, and just I'll let you know for you as an agent, we have lots of spots available still for the healthcare aid program. And
Mhm.
as you can see, it's a low cost program. So really, if you're looking for options for your students, low cost program, lots of spots still available. So I would highly recommend that one. Just make sure they write the AccuPlacer test. It's a cheap
Yeah.
test to write. Make sure they write it and pass it. It's not that hard. And then you've got a good shot for your student in a cheap program and a very good
And
program.
lots of supports for these
Yeah.
learners as well. In the School of Health and Wellness, we are really dedicated to ensuring that our international students feel supported. So I'm confident that your students would feel that support here in our healthcare aid program.
Okay, so I think that's back to me, and I just wanted to echo what Werner and Heather were saying. There's many cases where students are banging their down our doors for their letters of completion because, particularly through their practicums, oftentimes students have job offers before they actually get their final paperwork. So it's really, really great field to study in. There's high demand, but I just wanted to, Heather, are you able to talk a little bit? There's a couple things that I just wanted the people joining us here to know first about the Red Deer Hospital expansion, just the need in our local community for
Yeah,
that, as well as our wonderful donation and
yeah,
more research opportunities that are coming here to Red Deer Polytechnic.
for sure. So it's a really exciting time for the School of Health and Wellness and for the city of Red Deer. The city of Red Deer has been approved for a new hospital expansion, and along with that comes the requirement for all the people to make sure that that hospital runs. So we are really, really looking to expand our health programs and to increase the seats in all of the programs so that we can help that hospital run. We also have been really blessed to be gifted a massive donation that you may see in the news of $20 million to support health technology and health tech innovation for the School of Health and Wellness. So it's giving us the opportunity to do things like expand our labs and make sure that we've got technology for our students, make sure that they've got good placements, and provide them opportunities for applied research related to health technology. So a lot of really exciting things happening in our school.
Yeah, it is really exciting and that's I mean it just goes to show that, the need for these placements in our communities. We know that as a polytechnic, that's part of our mandate is to work with our province and our region to address those labor market needs. And so as we continue to grow and develop our programming, we want to meet the need of our Central Alberta community, which is great news for the learners because
Yeah.
there are job opportunities. And then we also have really close connections with our industries through our partnerships. Students get really, really great learning experiences. We're working with our community all the time on our curriculum, what skills are needed, development. So we really work with our community partners to make sure that we are training a highly skilled workforce to address what is happening in our community.
And like Chantel said, often the learners do their practicum or their placement and they have a job before they're done school because the placement is excited about the student being there and offers them a job to work there. So then they just finish and start working.
Yeah, Parminder, I see your question here. Does acupuncture test need to be taken by students who are applying in sonography and practical nurse also along with healthcare aid? No, so those programs don't have that additional acupuncture test. They would just need to meet those minimum English language proficiency requirements I was talking about. So that would be the IELTS 7.0 with no less than 6.5 on each band. I believe Duolingo was 130. All of it is listed on our website, but typically I think students from that region tend to lean into IELTS. So that's the one I know best off the top of my head. So 7.0 overall with at least 6.5 on each band. Healthcare aid would need that additional acuplacer test. That is it's part of the curriculum again, which is provincially mandated. So it's one of those requirements that students who studied outside of Canada do need to prove that proficiency through this specific test. Okay, so moving along, I just want to talk really quickly about our process and how to get started. So just really high level with our application process. If you're assisting a student who wants to attend Red Deer Polytechnic, you can go on our website. Our online application is on the international page. Please make sure that you are using the international application, and if you have any trouble finding it, we're more than happy to help with that. The international application fee is 150 Canadian dollars. Once that application fee is submitted, either yourself as the agent or the student will send their supporting documents to international.admissions@rdpolytech.ca. Now, when I talk about the supporting documents, there's three key pieces to that. It's going to be proof of English language proficiency. It will be a copy of their transcript of records so that we can verify the academic requirements for the program. And then lastly, if you are submitting or working with a student as an agent, we also have an agent consent form. That form serves two purposes. The first one being it gives us the authorization to speak with you about the status of a student's application, for example, or for you to act on behalf of the student if you're asking to change a program or defer a term. That form needs to be in place for us to work with you because that is their legal authorization for us to do so. And then the second part is the form that ties the student to your agency for commission purposes. So you want to make sure if you are submitting an application on behalf of a student that we have those supporting documents to make sure it's kind of like a study permit application. The more documents that you have lined up in the proper process, the faster it's going to go. Once we receive those documents, the Office of the Registrar will review the application, and as long as the student meets the admission requirements and there is seats available in the program, they will send an email confirming the admission requirements have been met and will ask for a tuition deposit. The tuition deposit is $1,400, and that's what secures the seat in the program. Once that deposit is paid, the student receives their letter of acceptance through their MyRDP portal. So that's the student portal on at Red Deer Polytechnic. So their letter of acceptance comes there, and then a provincial attestation letter will follow in about a week. So that's an automatic process. Once an LOA is released, we reach out to our provincial government, request that provincial attestation letter, and then the student will have the documents for us that they need to start that study permit process. As many of you know, Study Direct Stream has been discontinued at this point. So we want to make sure that if you are assisting students, that we're giving plenty of time for an application to be processed on our end as well as IRCC's. We really encourage you for the best chance to have everything set up and ready to go, that you apply early to make sure that, IRCC has time to process the study permit. There's nothing more stressful for us and for students when they're sitting back in their home countries with, their study dreams in their hands, waiting for IRCC to give them a letter and book a plane ticket to come here. Doesn't set them up for the best success because it makes that whole transition process even more stressful. So the sooner that you can get started on that process, the better. Okay.